Okay. Better? All right, normally I do these things off the cuff. I speak a lot and I give a lot of interviews, but the last 24 hours, if you've been on any kind of social media, I'm on the cover of pretty much every magazine and newspaper around the world. So I'm a little flabbergasted, so I wanted to make sure that I said the things that I thought were important, so forgive me if I read. A year ago, I was in Baltimore remembering the transgender lives that had been lost. I had just finished an interview with TMZ and I was on the cover of the National Enquirer for my relationship with Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer. They said his girlfriend was born a man to sell magazines. I was crushed. I wanted to die. I thought it would be better to end my life and live in a world where everyone knew what my life was. I was born intersex, but I did not find that out till many years later. As soon as I could talk, I said I was a girl, not that I wanted to be one. Even though I dressed, grew my hair out, and lived as a girl, I always was made to feel like there was something wrong with me and my own family. In my grandparents' quest to fix me, I went to exhausting counseling, then endocrinologist, and finally geneticist. The line down the back of my penis was where they closed my vagina. In 1972, the saying was sew a pole or make a hole. The testes that I never had were actually ovarian and gonadal tissue. I had a uterus. My chromosomes were XX and XY. I was diagnosed mosaic. My family never explained to me the things that were happening or the why. So I thought I was gay, then I thought I was a freak. And in the early 80s, I saw Tula and I said, that is me. I am transgender. As puberty was to begin, I got sickly because I don't produce healthy levels of either hormone. I went on testosterone blockers and then hormones. My birth certificate was changed to female and my name was changed. While all this was happening, I was never privy to the why or the diagnosis. I was still made to feel there was something wrong with me. I was the victim of sexual abuse from 18 months till I was 12, and then I suffered incest. I left my family at 15 and I emancipated from them at 16. I grew up privileged in the sense of money, so I had no idea the value of $1. I fell on my face and my first apartment had cockroaches at 16. Because of private schools and tutors and grandparents that were in politics, I grew up quickly and could fit into any adult world with the knowledge, but not real life smarts. I learned quickly that my looks could get me anywhere and accomplish anything. At 18, I got a DUI. I wrote a bad check that turned into a crime that caught up with me years later. At 19, I ran in an affluent, fast crowd. I got caught up and in over my head and made one of the worst decisions of my life, and I blackmailed someone and I got caught. Even though I was legally female, they put me in a cell with 3 men and I was raped. I sued the state of Maine and it began a crusade of gender rights. Unlike what has been reported in the press, I was never sent to a men's prison. I was never convicted of a felony or a myriad of other things that they say about me. I was on several news programs and talk shows championing for gender rights back then. Just like Janet Mock and Piers Morgan, I did not know till it aired they were going to call me a transsexual and put the caption that I'd spent time in a men's prison on the television. A reporter was following me for a photojournalism piece for Life magazine, The Year in Pictures. We staged a photo of me looking like a boy. That picture came back to haunt me after I made a statement that no one could say they knew me as a boy or a man or produce a picture as such. They made it seem that I had lived as a male until 19. At the time the picture was taken, I was married to a man, and that is why I had a hyphenated last name, Whitney Daniels. I wanted to have a normal life again. I changed my name after being the victim of another violent crime in a lengthy trial where my past and public image were used as a weapon against me. I was introduced to the world of escorting, and I put myself through school and always worked a normal job at the same time. I got corrective surgery and I never looked back. I never told people about my past, before or after surgery. I always felt like a girl and I never saw the need for labels. I was an escort off and on for 7 years. I continued my education several times and embarked on a long-run career in corporate America. I even graduated from here in 2008 in American Sign Language. I never got in trouble again after 1992. I fought hard to have a normal life. If I had learned anything from the last year, it was that a normal life was an unobtainable goal. Why would I want to be ordinary, normal, status quo? I like to think of myself as supreme. I am anatomically female. I am genetically both genders with the chromosome breakdown. I hate the labels, the boxes that society wants to put all of us in. Gender is a vast spectrum. Science doesn't lie. There are so many variations of gender that it is antiquated to restrict anyone to male or female. I prefer to say gender conflict. It is all-encompassing and it doesn't pit transgender against intersex and cis and gender fluid and on and on. We are all in this together. I was born intersex. I see transgender as a verb, and I am a female. I was lucky to not deal with the prejudice and societal backlash growing up or most of my adult life. Even when I was in the public eye as a teenager, you had to pick up a paper or tune into a show. There was no internet. You didn't become so recognizable like you do today. For the last year, I've questioned everything about my life. I questioned my womanhood, my confidence, and where I fit into the world. The world saw me as a freak, and how could the most decorated Olympian of all time care for me and want me? Howard Stern treated me amazingly when I was on his show. I made the mistake of telling why Michael and I ended. The world couldn't accept that he didn't leave me due to gender reasons. 2 months later, while announcing Michael and Nicole's engagement, he called me a man, a he, she, and an it, and he questioned my credibility. I tried to kill myself that night. I relapsed into anorexia and became a size 0 and 115 pounds. I tried to defend myself to the world and it did no good. They saw me as a criminal because of my past 20 plus years earlier. They saw me as a deranged, crazy woman, even called me a stalker and questioned the validity of my relationship with Michael to begin with. He chose not to say a word which by omission denied me, made me look like a liar. We don't live in a world where it is okay to love someone like us. He must be gay. What gay man would be attracted to any of us? I went on to write 2 books. I lost my privacy, which caused me to lose my career as a sign language interpreter. No corporation would hire me because of my notoriety brings liability. I divorced a year prior to meeting Michael, and it just started to feel like I could breathe when the media learned who I was the night of September 30th, 2014. By December, I was broke with no career and living like a recluse. I made the worst decision of my life by signing a deal with Vivid Entertainment, making a celebrity sex tape of my life with Michael. I might have been able to recover from the scandal of him, but that film will always be a scarlet letter on my life and does not correctly show my character or who I am as a person. My life is a cautionary tale. The world will try to tell you who and what you are. Don't believe the lie. It will be hard and it is unfair, but being true to yourself is the greatest reward. Times are changing, but there is so much more work to be done. We all have opinions for who our role models are and aren't. Visibility in the conversation are steps in the right direction. No one can say they don't know a transgender person, an intersex person, or a gender-conflicted person anymore. In July, I got a phone call from Caroline Cossi, known to the world as transsexual supermodel Bomb Girl Tula. It was a life-changing moment. We have talked many times since, and she has chin up always, the affirmation I use every day. We all need to have that friend, that support system that is there whenever we go to the dark places. We need to support and lift each other up. We don't have to agree with everything, but we can still be nice publicly. We have no room for a divide in this community on a public stage for haters and crazies to use against us. We need to stop saying someone is not trans enough, passable enough. Everyone's transition is their personal journey. Not all seek surgery or all surgery. We need to be united on the political front to secure our rights and get the protections we need to stop the killing of our brothers and sisters. I apologize for living stealth my whole life. This was forced upon me to not be stealth, and I was angry and bitter for my perfect life to be taken away from me. I now am hated, ridiculed, and made fun of because of who society thinks I am. In the last year, I've received thousands of letters telling me I was an inspiration, a role model. I gave them hope. I couldn't accept that blessing because I saw myself as a train wreck. I wasn't one of them. They are not me. I lived a lie most of my life. I am you. You are me. It is us and it is we. That caused me to mourn my old life. The men and women that I call friends today are the most real relationships I've ever had. I no longer have secrets and lies surrounding my everyday existence. I understand wanting to be self-passable, serving realness. Who would want to be labeled different? There is not just one right path to change. This is an opportunity for change, acceptance, and empathy. I hope that in my lifetime this day is no longer needed. I hope that girls and boys like us grow up feeling love and acceptance and not wanting to end their lives. We all have a responsibility to make that change happen. I hope that Michael Phelps of the world can love us publicly, be proud to say we are a couple, marry, have children, successful careers, and grow old, always being recognized as people, not our gender. Don't just be politically correct to our face or in public. Have compassion, be courageous, and mean it even behind closed doors. Family conversations, water cooler conversations, especially in front of children. My heart breaks for the families left behind from these senseless murders. I pray you find peace and can forgive the ignorance of a cruel world. Your children are loved and remembered always. That was the basis of what I wanted to say tonight, but I just want to go further and say I've met so many of you tonight, and you were so nice and sweet, and you told me your stories, and some of you came just to see me like I'm any more important than anybody else in this room. Yeah, I dated someone that was in the public eye, but it destroyed my life. In the last year, I've attempted suicide 3 times. I relapsed into anorexia. I was on a feeding tube in the hospital. I lost my fingernails. My hair was coming out. The enamel was coming off of my teeth. I wouldn't wish any of this on anybody, but this is the world we live in. And I'm torn every day as to whether I still want to be here or I belong to anyone or anything. Because no matter what I do, it becomes public. Because we live in this world where we thrive on gossip and other people falling and falling apart. I hope that all of us can work better to enlighten and educate people so that these types of things don't happen. You know,